In this lesson, we will be looking at fertilization, and we are going to look into somewhat detail of the female and the male reproductive structures. So let's start off with the female reproductive structure, which is not that complex, but a lot of things are going on in this structure, and you need to know them. We are going to start off with the ovaries. These two circular structures are called ovaries, O-V-A-R-I-E-S. There are two of them, and one is called an ovary. And the function of the ovaries are basically for egg production. So if you're ever wondering where is it that meiosis happens in females, it happens in their ovaries. That's where eggs are formed. Once the eggs are formed, they are released. All right? They are released. So this is an egg, for example. It is released right here into the fallopian tube. So this structure right here is the fallopian tube. Now, one thing that I must mention right now is that in humans, a single egg is released each month. All right? When that egg is released, the process of that is called ovulation. And I'm going to write that right on the bottom here. O-V-U-L-A-T-I-O-N. Ovulation is basically when the egg is released. So the egg is released from the ovaries, and it goes straight into the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube spells F-A-L-L-O-P-I-A-N, fallopian tube. And another word for fallopian tube is oviduct. The function of the fallopian tube, basically, here is where fertilization happens. Once the egg is released, it will travel through the fallopian tube or oviduct, and say sperms are deposited inside, they will swim all the way into the fallopian tube, and it will meet the egg right here, and that's what fertilization is all about. The sperm swimming all the way up and meeting the egg in the fallopian tube or oviduct. So here is where fertilization, so I should write that, fertilization, F-E-R-T-I-L-I-Z-A-T-I-O-N. So fertilization happens in the fallopian tube or the oviduct. I'm just going to take this out, just clean this diagram up a little bit, and we're going to next look at this structure here. Now, this structure is called the uterus. And the uterus plays a very important role in supporting the embryo when it is developing. The uterus has very thick lining whenever an egg needs to be implanted. So once fertilization happens, the egg will then move, or the fertilized egg will then move and implant itself into the uterus. All right, so it implants itself into the uterus, and it will start to grow as the embryo. Now, the next step that happens after the whole 9 months in female is that the baby will be pushed out of here, which is the cervix, and out through the V-A-G-I-A, vagina. All right. So this here, as I know it's a little bit detailed, but I think you will get a good hold of it. It's not too complicated. All you need to know is that there are two ovaries. The ovaries are the place. Sorry, the ovaries are the place. Sorry, where eggs are produced. Eggs are released into the fallopian tube in a process called ovulation. A single egg is released every month. Once it's in the fallopian tube or the oviduct, sperms will swim up and meet or fuse with this egg. A single sperm will penetrate the egg, and a zygote will form. The zygote will move straight to the uterus. Here, implantation happens. Implantation means it will fix itself into the walls of the uterus, which is a very thick wall. It has a very thick lining to support that egg. The baby, or sorry, not the baby, but the embryo will develop in the uterus, and after time of development, it will pass through the cervix and through the vagina, and when it passes through the vagina, at that point it is called birth. So this is very straightforward. I don't think you should have any problems with this. Since we are on this topic, it is a very good opportunity for us to take a moment and look at or compare the side and front view of the female reproductive organ. So if you look at, this is the side view, and here you have the ovary. This is the fallopian tube. We have the uterus here. Here's where implantation and the embryo will develop. This is the cervix, and this is the vagina. If you look at the front, which is something that you are familiar with because of the last slide, ovaries, fallopian tube. We have the uterus. We have the cervix, and we have the vagina. And this is the cervix. That's it. That's female reproductive structure, and summing up, fertilization, implantation, and also birth. Let's now look at the male reproductive structure. Males have two of these structures, which are called TES, testes. And here is where meiosis happens, where gametes are formed. The gametes of male are called sperms, and sperms are developed or they're made in the testes. There are two structures on each of the testes above them, and these structures are called EPIDIDYMIS, the epididymis. All right, so the egg will, the sperms will be developed, and they will be transported to the epididymis for storage, and then they are released into these tubes, right here. These are called the vas, DEFERENS, vas deferens. The sperm will make its way through the tube, and it will pass out of the penis in a process called ejaculation. Now, there are some other structures that are of importance. I would not go into them into detail, but you should know that these are glands that produce semen, and these glands are called, this gland right here is called the seminal vesicle. So these glands produce seminal vesicle. These seminal vesicle produce semen, and it mixes with the sperm for ejaculation. This structure that you see, this large structure right just next to the male reproductive structure, this is the bladder. Now, one thing you should know about the male reproductive structure is that it is in connection with the excretory organs, which is the bladder, and when urine needs to pass out, which is a waste, it also travels through this tube right here, and this tube is called the urethra. All right, so let me recap this. This is looking a little bit too messy because I think my handwriting is just gross at this point. But I will use this color right here. So this is the testes where sperms are made. They're stored in the epididymis. They are carried out through the vas deferens. This is an S, vas deferens. And it passes through the urethra. The urethra, is found in the center of the penis. And we have seminal vesicle which release semen once it's coming out to the urethra. The connection or the connecting organ is the bladder, which also deposits urine into or through the urethra for excretion. So it kind of the urethra kind of serves a dual purpose: one for passing out the sperm and semen, and also for passing out urine, which is an excretory product that is stored in the bladder. Now let's look at the side view of the male reproductive structure. Here we have the urethra, that is this tube. So let's trace this because it can be a little bit confusing. This is the urethra. It meets here, which is the seminal vesicle. It connects down through this, which is the vas deferens, and it meets up with the epididymis and finally the testes. There is a sac of skin right here under the testes, which is called scrota. You don't really need to know about that right now. And of course, if you're wondering what this large structure is, it is the bladder, which excretes urine. There's another gland called the prostate gland that also helps to produce semen. All right, all of these fluid mixes with the sperm, and it's ejaculated through the urethra. So this is of course, the epididymis and the testes. We have here the vas deferens. It comes through out of the urethra, and this here is called the penis. And these are the seminal vesicle, prostate gland, which helps to produce semen. And that's about it.